Here's head coach Sean Kirwan. Coach, just opening statement on today's game.
Yeah, great to be back at home. We don't get many of these home games at Scully Fahey Field, so to see our fans come out is always a treat. Credit to Penn. I mean, that was an up and down game. Obviously, game of runs on both sides. Credit to them for closing the door. I mean, that's a bear of a team that we had to prepare for. And again, I thought we for the most part played our game, but then there are a couple plays toward at the end of the stretch that we needed to make, and that's on me, that's on the coaching staff, and the players definitely take some responsibility as well. But it just felt like that thing slipped, and then it was a cascading effect that we gotta make sure we correct.
All right, open up for questions.
Right, and like you mentioned, it, Coach, kind of a game of runs. You guys were scoreless in the fourth. Could you just speak to a little bit about if you think that was more so anything the Quakers did tactically, or a combination of things that maybe you guys didn't execute as well as you wanted to? Just kind of what you think kind of contributed to that long run Penn was able to go on.
Yeah, I think it starts at the faceoff X. I think Penn started to win some faceoffs there, and then they really cranked up their ride, and we struggled in the fourth quarter clearing the ball. And so when I thought our offense got iced out in the fourth quarter, just not able to stick to the rhythm that we had in the first three quarters. And that's a huge piece of it. And then once we got there, they made a goalie change, and so that can be challenging for shooters. But I just thought that we one, not having as much possession time as or even possession time as we did in the game, and then when we had our opportunities, we got to stick them, and so we got to do a better job shooting the ball.
Could you walk me through one of the last sequences when Penn was able to, when they scored to take the lead? Kevin had gone up, passed the ball back, trying to go enter the offensive zone. Just could you kind of walk me through what the plan was there and kind of maybe what wasn't as executed?
Yeah, it's they're a great riding team, and so KB is somebody that we asked to come in cold, in the fourth quarter, which is not an easy task in an Ivy League game. And so I give him credit. It's kind of what Penn was daring you to do, is to have one of your back line run. I think retroactively and just like looking back on it, we'd love to have one of our poles do it, not our goalie. But we missed that opportunity and the clock was running. So KB had to make a play. We got to do a better job of coaching him up in those situations. If he can get it inside the restraining line, we can save him with a timeout. But he's just trying to make a play from there. And obviously they did a great job swarming and creating the turnover there. So.
Right, and then what was the message to the guys afterwards? How do you guys kind of bury this one, sort of, so to speak, and move on and not let it kind of hang around, as you guys, continue with your season?
No, I mean, this is, I think you can wear your scars a little bit, though, too. You can't just flush it. You got to learn from this, absolutely. I think for us, it's, making sure we understand, I think this is still a relatively, new team, year three, and, we got to continue to learn how to win in these big moments. And, just because we've won games in the past doesn't mean that, this is a guarantee. And to have a big lead like that and watch it slip, like it's just something that these guys need to experience as the best way to learn how to win is honestly to lose some of these heartbreakers and learn from your mistakes, and so the next time you can correct it. And so that was a big message for us. I think the belief is still in the room. There's no doubt about it. Both Ivy League games, we've proven that we can compete with anybody. And so we got to make sure that we continue to show up with our brand of lacrosse and force teams to play at our pace and our tempo and our aggression, which again, that fourth quarter, if there's anything, I just thought we might have lost that a little bit. So again, we got to continue to learn and grow, and that's the part of the season. But certainly can't be moping too much. There's still plenty of season left in front of us.
Coach, anything else to add?
Nope, go Big Green.